Switzerland is over. Not the country, the cheese, the mountains, all that is fine. What I mean is the idea of Switzerland. The richest, safest, most boring place to park money on the planet just lost the world's #1 home for offshore wealth to Hong Kong. What is offshore wealth? Well, when someone gets seriously rich and decides they don't want all of their money sitting in their own country, they send a chunk of it abroad. And for about 100 years, that money went to Switzerland. Now it runs to Hong Kong first. Roughly $3,000 billion of other people's fortunes are parked there. A hair more than Switzerland, but what really matters is the direction. Hong Kong grew at nearly 11% last year. By 2030, it is projected to sit $600 billion ahead of the land of the Alps. So how the hell did Hong Kong pull that off? And what does it have that Switzerland doesn't? That's what we're getting into. Because what I'm about to tell you is something that smart money figured out years ago. And it has nothing to do with better banks or lower taxes. Say you build a company in your home country. You sell it, and one morning you wake up with $50 million in the bank. First good problem of your life, where does it live? You could leave it at home, but maybe you don't fully trust your government or your currency wobbles, or you just don't want everything you own sitting in one place. So you take a slice of it and send it somewhere else. Somewhere with rock-solid banks, laws that don't change, and people who've been guarding rich strangers' money for generations. For about 100 years, that somewhere else had one obvious answer, and it was Switzerland. Stable, discreet. A Swiss bank account wasn't really about returns. It was the feeling that whatever caught fire in the rest of the world, your money will be sitting nice and calm in a vault under the Alps. That's the crown we're talking about, and last year, for the first time, the world handed it to Hong Kong instead. The Swiss didn't collapse. They grew their share by nearly 8% last year, a perfectly healthy number, but Hong Kong did better. What nobody expected was the timing. The experts assume Hong Kong will eventually catch Switzerland around 2027. They call the city the super connector. It is the one door where Chinese money walks out to meet the world and the world's money walks in to reach China, and almost nowhere else can legally do both. Look at what came through that door last year. 500 companies were lined up waiting to go public on Hong Kong Stock Exchange, up from 300 the year before. Every one of those listings means new fortunes, and a lot of that fresh money stays right there. Money flowing into Hong Kong's investment fund jumped by more than doubled in a single year. So that's it. The 100-year champion got beaten at its own game, the money's moving east, end of the story. Except Hong Kong didn't win anything. That's the part that took me a while to get my head around. If you just made a fortune and wanted it somewhere truly safe, somewhere no government could ever reach in and grab it, will you really pick a city that answers to Beijing? Tough questions, right? And yet, $3 trillion just did exactly that. So, either the richest people on Earth have made a surprising choice, or that money isn't doing what we assume. It's the second one. Over 60% of Hong Kong's money came from a single place, mainland China. That one fact rewrites the whole story. Switzerland built its crown by being the safe house for everyone. Money showing up from Germany and Brazil and Saudi Arabia and 100 places in between, none of them more than a slice. Hong Kong's pile isn't like that at all. It's mostly Chinese money that crossed one border. Think of it like this. There's a US state called Delaware, smaller than most countries, and more than 2 million companies are registered there, more than the number of people who live in it. By a certain measure, you could call Delaware the corporate capital of the planet. But nobody actually believes the world's business runs out of Delaware. It's where American companies go because Delaware's courts and tax rules are more friendly than their home state is. Hong Kong just pulled the same trick with Chinese fortunes and made it look like a worldwide victory. Now, why did Chinese money make that little jump in the first place? This is where it gets clever, and it has nothing to do with hiding. A wealthy family in China has a problem the rest of us never think about. The money is trapped. China guards its currency tightly, and getting real wealth out through the front door is slow, capped, and watched. Hong Kong is the side door. You might ask why they don't go straight to Singapore. Some do. But Hong Kong has one advantage Singapore never will. It's close enough to China to feel domestic while functioning internationally. Same country, technically, but its own currency and banks connecting straight into New York and London. Money that moves from Shenzhen to Hong Kong has barely traveled 40 kilometers. Yet, it's stepped from a closed financial system into an open one. That's the magic. Not secrecy, access. And that word, access, explains everything. The money rushing into Hong Kong isn't really running away from China. It's using Hong Kong to reach everything China can touch directly while staying close enough to come home in an afternoon. But that's only 60% of the story. If most of the money is Chinese cash heading out, who's the rest? Some of it is the wider neighborhood, Indian and Southeast Asian fortune parking next door to the action. But a surprising slice is coming the other way. Last year, roughly a third of the new family offices that opened in Hong Kong came from outside Greater China entirely, a lot of them from Europe and the Gulf. They're walking through the door from the other side. The same gateway that lets Chinese money out, lets foreign money into Chinese tech, Chinese manufacturing, the fastest growing consumer market on the planet. You don't need a family office or $50 million to walk through it. That's the part almost nobody realizes. Anyone running a small e-commerce brand out of Europe, sourcing products from factories in China, selling to customers scattered across half the world will be happy to do business there. For years, entrepreneurs fought the home bank over every international transfer, watched currency conversion hit their margin, and got treated like a suspect every time money moved across a border. Then, they set up a company in Hong Kong, and suddenly, they're operating from inside the same system the big players use. Nothing about that requires being rich. It just requires knowing the door is there. And Hong Kong makes walking through it almost suspiciously easy. You can register a company in a few days, completely remote, without ever flying over and without a local partner. The tax sits light compared to what most Westerners are used to, built on a simple idea. You tax on what you earn in Hong Kong. No sales tax bolted onto every transaction, nothing skimmed when you sell your shares. And right behind sits the Greater Bay Area. Hong Kong linked together with Shenzhen and 9 other cities into a single market of 86 million people. Singapore plays the same role from the other end of the region. A bit more paperwork, you do need a local director there, but in return, you get the cleanest possible base for selling across Southeast Asia. You choose Hong Kong if your business leans on China and trade, Singapore if you're building to scale across Asia. I'll be straight with you, this is my world. I run Status, will help entrepreneurs open exactly these companies and the accounts behind them, so I watch this happen constantly. People come to me, convinced it's a club reserved for an elite and their armies of advisors. It's not. Most people just never thought the door applied to them. So you've got one kind of person walking through that door to build, and it is growing. While Europe argues about pensions and the US leans on the same handful of tech giants, Asia keeps minting new factories, new middle-class buyers. For someone building a company, the logic is obvious. Go where the tide is coming in. But there's a second kind of person pushing through the same door, and they're not there to build anything. They're there to hide from risk itself. These are the people who already made it, and their fear is waking up one morning to find someone has decided their money is no longer theirs. That's the thing the last few years taught the wealthy. Russian fortunes frozen inside Western banks overnight. Money everyone assumed was untouchable turned out to be one political decision away from gone. And the lesson landed hard. Handing your entire life to a single country, no matter how safe it looks, is the real gamble now. So, the smartest money on earth stopped doing it. Now, they keep a slice of their money in Switzerland because it's stable, a company in Hong Kong because it reaches Asia, a backup passport somewhere else entirely. So no single government and no single crisis can even reach more than a fraction of what they own. The pros call it jurisdictional diversification, which sounds like a billionaire's problem. But it's the exact logic you already trust without thinking. You never put every penny into one stock. The rich have just started treating entire countries the same way. Hong Kong became the other option, the second safe in a world where nobody just trusts one anymore. Okay, so we established that Hong Kong is a great place to keep a fortune. But ask a human with money where he wants to wake up every morning. Guess what? The answer won't be Hong Kong. Last year, Switzerland pulled in a net 3,000 new millionaires. Not their money this time, but the people themselves, physically relocating, buying homes, and enrolling their kids. It sits near the top of that global ranking year after year, and it lands at the top of almost every best country to live in list. The reasons aren't mysterious. Your money sits behind a legal system no government can reach in and ban, in a country where the politics have been pleasantly boring, and serious crime barely registers. The healthcare ranks among the best on earth, the trains run to the minute, the schools turn out kids who speak 3 languages, and the whole place is built to work. For the plain experience of being wealthy and sleeping soundly, very little competes. Italy is trying to lure the wealthy in with a flat tax deal that's drawing fortune out of London. The Gulf spent 2 years as the single biggest magnet on earth before the region got tense. Now, look at the country sending so much of that capital into Hong Kong. China is losing millionaires too, several thousand a year choosing to base elsewhere, even as it keeps minting new fortune faster than almost anywhere. Plenty of those who leave still love the country they came from. They just want a second footing somewhere, quieter, and a passport that opens more borders. So they route the fortune through Hong Kong because it's the sharp financial play, then keep one foot in the West for everything money come back. The new playbook, the one the smart money spend a fortune working out, is to refuse to pick. The instinct is the same whether you're shielding 10 billion or building your first real business. Don't let one country own all of you. You can reach east out of ambition, planting a foot in the half of the world that's still climbing while it's still early enough to matter. Same door, very different reason for walking through it. And the door is open right now, wider than it's ever been, for the price of registering a company. So that's what I would actually want to know from you. 10 years out, where would you want your business standing? Or have you already worked out that the right answer might be a foot in both? Tell me in the comments, I read every one of them. If you have learned anything from this video, you already know what the subscribe button is for. See you in the next video.